Welcome back to the channel. I'm Reed, and this is Man Cave Guitar Pedal Mania. In this very special series of videos, I'll be building a Warmoth project guitar with my dad. Now, I'm in my 50s, and my dad turns 80 this year. He lives a couple of hours from me. We both have some health issues that make it hard to travel at the best of times, and basically impossible with the COVID-19 outbreak. My dad doesn't play guitar, but he does like woodworking projects, and he's enjoyed watching my videos of various guitar projects, and we came up with the idea of doing a father-son build. Now, given the logistics issues involved, we decided that the easiest way to do it was to buy a body, have it shipped to him directly, and he would do the finish. So, after a considerable amount of time, we bought a body from Warmoth. He had watched my previous videos of using Wudtone products and decided to put a Wudtone finish on it. I believe Carmine Red with gold highlights. Now, Dad shot some video of him working on the body, so I'm going to show that now, and then I'm going to unbox what the final product looks like. I haven't seen it yet myself. So let's check out Dad's videos. Okay, here is the package. Ah, the suspense. There's a lot of packaging in this. And there is the body. Oh, what do you think of that? So what we have here is a swamp ash velocity body. I'm pretty sure it's 2-piece, because we did not pay for a 1-piece body, but if so, I'm having a really hard time locating the seam where they joined it together. So it has a Wudtone, I believe carmine red finish. Now Dad put gold highlights in it, and what that does is it sits in the grain, and it may be hard to pick up on the camera. I'm going to try. I can definitely see it up close, especially in where there's some of the bigger grain spots, like right in here. I can definitely see where, or down here, there's some gold stuck into the grain. So that is a beautiful piece of wood. Now, one of the downsides, if you can call it that, I did not want to install a blade switch. I wanted to just use a 3-way Les Paul style switch, and Warmoth will not do custom controls. You have to choose from their basic control layout. So I have volume, tone, and I'm going to have to drill a hole for the pickup selector. That's not a big deal, hopefully. And I have the neck for this out in the shop. In order to bring out that gold even more, I bought all gold hardware for it. A lot of it from Guitarfetish, but also some from Stewmac and some from Warmoth. So let's take this out to the shop and get going on the assembly. I think this is going to be spectacular. Okay, let's go over the other parts that I'm going to put into this build. So we ordered a roasted, or some people say caramelized or torrefied, maple neck with a rosewood fretboard. And if you can see, it has gold fret wire, again sticking with that gold theme. This is a showpiece for Dad just to hang on his wall and have people go, ooh, what a great looking guitar. 3-on-3 headstock. You can see no flame, but it's got a nice grain pattern in it. Now, I have to say, this is the only time I have ever ordered a Warmoth product and it came with a defect. I'm going to try and, if you can see right here, there's a dent right on the edge. There's no way that happened in shipping because of the way they pack them. It happened at the factory. And I know that you're thinking, well, that's hard to see, but that's because I already removed the dent as much as humanly possible. Now, I did not film that because the dent removal trick that I know involves making steam with a hot soldering iron. It's really easy to burn yourself, and I did not want anybody trying the dent removal trick that I knew and hurting themselves. Sorry about that. But it did get out 99% of the dent, so that's good. Probably now people would never even notice it, but I know it's there. And again, it's the first time that I've ever received anything from Warmoth that had a defect in it. Other than that, this neck is flawless. I ordered a lot of parts from Guitarfetish, including these open gear style tuners in gold. Disappointingly, they put them all just in a loose plastic bag, and the gold plating is kind of scratched up on the tuning heads. That was not a very good service from Guitarfetish. I remember getting tuners from them in boxes before, so that was very disappointing. Let's see here. Also disappointing, so this style of tuner is designed to go into a collar or grommet that goes into the peg head. Well, check this out. That is not the right size of, of bushing. I think they sent me conversion bushings that are designed to go in 10mm headstock reams. And these are vintage 8mm reams. So I ordered another set of bushings, these from Stewmac. So we're about to see here live on camera whether these fit. If they don't fit, I'm in trouble. No, look at that. Presses right in. So GFS sent me the wrong size of bushings. Again, can't say I'm super impressed by their customer service on that. So these bushings are just press fit. They won't fall out. There you go. And then the tuner just goes through it like so. We'll install the tuning keys here in a little bit. Now what I'm not certain of, if that should go with the gear to the left or the gear to the right. Doesn't really make a difference, except visually, so I'll just decide what I want. So as you can see, we have mother of pearl-ish, I mean, they're not real mother of pearl, but they're mother of pearl looking split block inlays, loom inlay side dots, or moon glow, I think, is what Warmoth calls their dots. A tusk nut. Nice tight fit in the neck pocket. Oh yeah, this thing is going to be absolutely spectacular. That is going to be every inch the showpiece that Dad wanted. Let's keep going through the hardware. Now, because I like doing things that are a little different, I decided to go with a Filtertron style pickup instead of a regular humbucker. These, in fact, the GFS Tron. Again, with that nice gold plating on it. Now, because those are designed, as you can see, instead of having screws that go on flanges on the outside of the pickup, they have screws that go down through the top of the pickup. To use them in normal pickup rings, you have to use a little adapter bar on it that just goes across the bottom like this. It screws into place and now it functions just exactly like a regular humbucking pickup. So I went with that because this way, if I decide I don't like the sound of those Filtertrons, I can just replace them with regular humbuckers, and it's relatively painless. gold strap pins, gold neck plate and neck screws, volume and tone knobs. Again, these are all purchased from Guitarfetish. Now, I had originally bought a wiring harness from Guitarfetish as well. But I thought I was going to have volume, volume, tone, tone. And that was not possible with the body that we selected. So I am just going to need to wire this up myself. Which is not that big a deal, but I bought pots, a gold output switch, and capacitors from Stewmac. And then to finish off the hardware, we have the top of body string through grommets, the bottom of body string through grommets, and a golden tune-o-matic. Okay, where to start? I think I'm going to start by putting the tuners in the neck. Normally I don't shoot video of me doing mechanical processes because I think it's kind of boring. But in this case, I thought maybe you'd like to see my super high-tech method, which I call winging it. Now, since the peg head is curved, I had a choice of either angling the tuners to match the curve or just having them go straight up and down. And I liked having them go straight up and down. And I am literally just eyeballing it. There is no way for me to get that precisely level with the others. I'm using a depth stop drill bit. Before I bought these, I have drilled through headstocks. It is not an experience I'm eager to repeat. I've also broken off these little tuning peg screws. Being very small, they're not very sturdy, and if you over torque them, you can twist the heads right off, which is absolutely no fun at all. I do have a headstock screw removal kit for just such emergencies, and I hope I never have to use it again. These tuners are made by Wilkinson, by the way. Wilkinson didn't get a lot of love from people who watched my Wilkinson guitar kit build, but I've always had really good luck with Wilkinson products. Yeah, that looks the business. Alright, I'm going to put the other three in. No need to film that. There we go. So check that out. 18:1 gear ratio. They're just open back instead of a closed back. If they tune as good as they look, this is going to be a fantastic guitar. You know, no matter what it sounds like, this guitar is going to look like $1,000,000. Okay. A lot of things don't have to be done in any specific order, but I always do things in a particular order, and that is that I always drill holes before doing anything else, because I find that part the most stressful, and I don't want to be dreading it for later. So, and yes, that includes the tuning peg screws. Those all went in, got a hitch. Live and learn. My process has gotten better over the years. So the next hole I need to drill is for the switch. After watching some of my videos, my parents got me a set of these very nice Duragold premium tack cloths. because I've never really used tack claws in my own shop. I just use rags, basically. But we do want to get some of the travel dust off of this body. Take the control cavity plate off. It was going to be time for that anyway, since I need to install. And now I have a choice. The choice is where I want to install the switch. I have this lovely gold output switch. Stewmac says that takes a 1/2 inch hole. If this was their blade switch, it would be right about there. Or I could go the Paul Reed Smith route and put it back here. And I think that I like that better. The Stewmac website says this is a 1/2 inch. That looks about right. No, I'm not going to start off boring a 1/2 inch hole in it. For those of you that are worried, I'm going to drill a very small pilot hole and gradually work my way up. And I'm going to do the smaller holes by hand, but when I get to the final hole, I have a drill press that I'm going to use to make sure that it goes in straight. Alright, the thing about removing wood is once you start, you're committed. So I like things that are symmetrical. I think that in order for this to meet my own symmetry criteria, I want it halfway between the volume and tone knobs and about equal with the string through grommets in the top of the body. And that, check something here real quick. Yeah. That means right about here. Okay, now it's just a question of making successively larger holes until I get to my 1/2 inch hole. Okay, we're committed now. Well, we were committed before. Oh, man. Yep, I think that's going to work just fine. And as you can see, it just fits within the control cavity there. So, I should have measured that. Luckily for me, it worked out. I am not a professional, so if I don't do a professional job, it doesn't really bother me that much. These builds are labors of love, and you want to get them right, but I don't kill myself if something goes a little wrong. So, golden string through grommets for the top of the guitar. These should just be press fit. Alright, I am going to go get a rubber mallet because these are really, really tight. And I don't want to hit them with something harder than a rubber mallet to put them in. Rear grommets, again, just require a little bit more force than I can apply with my thumb. So, I'm going to go get a rubber mallet and then we'll put these grommets in. Okay, I could not find my rubber mallet, which almost certainly means that I have misplaced it. So, instead, what I'm using is a very small length of dowel. Now, I wouldn't try this if these holes were countersunk, but these grommets are not intended to go completely into and be flush with the bodies. You can see they set up on top just a little bit, so you can use something to give it a little extra emphasis here and not worry about denting the finish. Because the dowel will never actually touch the body of the guitar. These are going to provide a very subtle highlight. But I think along with the rest of the gold hardware, it's going to be very, very classy. There we go. 6 gold string-through grommets on the top, 6 gold string-through grommets in back. So far, so good. Next step is installing the bridge studs. So you may know why they invented the recessed tunematic already, but it's so that they didn't have to redo the neck angle. On a Les Paul, the neck is actually angled, I think 3.5 or 4 degrees, don't quote me on that, because the bridge sits up high and that gives the strings a very consistent angle down the neck. A Stratocaster bridge is much lower to the body. So if you want to have a Stratocaster, which is to say a non-angled neck pocket, something that's much easier, well, in the age of AutoCAD and machine shops, I really don't think it matters. When you were doing them with pen routers by hand, it was probably harder to do the angled neck pocket. But with the recessed bridge, that takes care of that extra break angle for you. So now I need to put in the studs for the bridge. One of them will just go in as is, but the other one I need to install the bridge ground for. Now again, those of you that know a lot about guitars already know this, but if you're not aware, you are the final ground for your guitar. So you need unless you have an active system, you need a ground wire running from your electronics to your bridge, which then grounds when you touch it. If you've got a bad grounding job, you may notice your guitar hums unless you touch the strings. It's because you're providing the ground. Now, Warmoth is nice enough to always provide a bridge ground hole. I'm going to see if you can see that. That is probably not visible, but it's inside this stud hole, just goes directly to the cavity. Now these bridge studs are a very tight fit already, so you don't want, they've drilled it at the top instead of the bottom, which is going to provide some issues, but I think I can work this out. I'm going to pause this while I get some wire together. Wiring often follows a color convention. I use black for ground and red for hot when I'm installing my own wires. And as you can see, or maybe you can't see because it's so thin, that's a pretty thin wire. You don't need much, but it is enough with that really tight tolerance that it might be difficult to get that bridge stud to go in. And if the stud is not straight, they'll have problems seating the bridge. But I think we can do this. Swamp ash is not rock, and it will give. So I'm just going to put that wire in, bend it down flat against the wood. And I think that when I seat that bridge stud on it, it will simply push it into the wood and everything will be fine. All I really need is enough for it to contact the mounting stud. If something goes wrong, you can take the studs out, but it is not easy. Whether it seats okay with the bridge in place. And look at that. Fits like a charm. Alright, what's next? I think next is going to be to wire up the pickups. I usually don't film myself soldering because I have horrible soldering technique and I would hate for anybody to try and learn how to do it by watching me. But step one, installing the capacitor. That's what turns your potentiometer into a tone pot instead of just another volume pot. Now, some companies use audio taper pots for the volume and linear taper pots for the tone. I don't bother with that. It may make a difference. I'm not that much of an electronics expert. I know I personally have not noticed a difference when I've built guitars using linear versus audio taper pots. These are just 500K alpha pots. They're some of the most common pots available on the market and they work just fine. Also, like a lot of guitarists, I don't use my tone knob. It's just there. So if you're somebody who rides your tone knob a lot, maybe it makes a difference. I don't know. So the next step is going to be to install those Filtertron pickups into their pickup rings, and we'll see about wiring them up. Okay, as you can see, I now have the bridge pickup. Now, disappointingly, when I was ordering the hardware, you use pickguard mounting screws to attach the rings, and yes, I intentionally got black to provide a little contrast with all of the gold. I forgot to order gold pickguard mounting screws, so I'll have to use just plain old silver screws to begin with and then order new ones. That is disappointing. You always feel like there's something you left undone. Okay, so here's how that adapter bar works. It has these long wood screws. It's a really simple process. It's very simple, but a pretty clever idea. So now it has flanges, just like a regular humbucker pickup. Now these mounting rings are specifically designed for Filtertron size pickups, but now you can simply attach them like you would any other pickup. For these I do have gold screws, and rather than use the little pieces of plastic, I'm going to put in actual springs for height adjustment. This part is always a bit of a pain. If someone has good tips on how to better handle these mounting ring screws, feel free to put it in the comments. Okay, plenty of space for height adjustment. Warmoth kindly puts the extra deep trenches on the sides of their pickup routing pockets. Now, one fiddly little thing with the GFS system, their little plugs for their quick plugs, which I'm not using for this build, but that's how all of their pickup wires are tailed on. And sometimes they get in the way of your fit. It makes it difficult to put things into the cavity. But I will get that taken care of. I always have to double check. Of course, the pickup rings are sloped. I have to make sure that I've got the correct ring in the correct location. I won't actually attach the mounting screws until the very last thing because I try and get the pole pieces lined up as closely as possible. Okay, after what feels like several days of work, I have installed the output jack and the pickups and the wiring. So still don't have the screws to hold it in place, so I just have them taped. And again, the reason I don't bother filming myself doing the wiring is that really took me an embarrassingly long period of time because of all the mistakes I made. I had it perfectly wired up, except that I bypassed the volume. Good times. So, bridge pickup. Both pickups. Neck pickup. And volume. So, electronics are good. I'm going to put on the control cavity cover. The gold output plate. I wish I had gold screws for the output or the control plate, but I guess I'll have to order those when I order the screws I'm going to put in the mounting rings. Speaking of which, yeah, those are the same. Okay, with the electronics installed, the back cover in place, it is time to attach the neck. This beautiful gold neck plate and beautiful gold neck screws. This is not meant to be a subtle guitar. Again, this is meant to be a showpiece to hang on Dad's wall so that people can come and look at it and say, wow, you made that? And there we go. Now I know I still have not installed those pickup ring screws. I'll get those soon, but in the meantime, it's very, very nearly an electric guitar. In fact, all that's left to do is install the strap buttons. I'd always do that last. Knobs, switch tip. Let's just go ahead and do that. Now we need to string it up. I don't have any especially neat process for stringing a guitar, so I'm going to do that off camera. And I'll come back when it's time to do more setup work on it. And here we are. It's completely finished except for the installation of strap buttons and the couple of hours of setup work that I'll need to do on it. So I have not checked to see if the frets have any high spots. The neck feels good. It is unquestionably the flashiest looking guitar I've ever put together. So Dad, I hope that you enjoy it. I'm going to I am very tired after working in the shop all afternoon. I'll probably get it set up tomorrow, and then we'll shoot some video of what this thing sounds like. And here we go. We're back in the man cave. Here is the finished guitar. I let it sit overnight, stretched the strings a little bit, did a little bit of setup work. Thing went together very easily. Oops, pardon me, grab my pick. Now, you're hearing this for the first time along with me. I have only plugged it into the tuner to make sure that it is back in tune. So this is a completely clean tone with just a little bit of reverb from the TC Electronic Hall of Fame. First on the neck pickup. Neck and middle. Excuse me, neck and bridge. And then bridge only. Okay, neck. Bridge. So far, so good. Light overdrive, neck only. Neck and bridge. And just bridge. And let's give it some heavier overdrive. Neck and bridge. And just the bridge. these Filtertrons were going to sound like, but they sound nice. Let's give it a little, let's give it a little plexi style. Now, the pickups are not super hot. Sound pretty good. Let's add a little delay. Okay, not completely noiseless, but that's a lot of gain. Let's go back to light overdrive. Completely quiet there. The mid overdrive, get a little hum. Even more gain with some some delay. Awesome. So here it is with some fuzz. This is a JHS Supreme, which is an octave up fuzz. Good sustain even with the fuzz. That fuzz is a little gated. Sounds great. Going back to clean. Go all the way up to the 22nd fret. Let's do a big bend here at the 15th fret, or 17th fret, sorry. Okay, how about the low strings? A lot of fret buzz on that low E string. Above the 12th fret. So there you go. This guitar is absolutely spectacular. Sounds great, plays great. I don't play above the 12th fret on the E string, so that, or on the low E string, so that fret buzz isn't really going to bother me at all. I've raised the action on that side as much as I want to, and I don't feel like going through and giving it a fret job on these beautiful gold frets, because I don't like polishing frets. I know. But again, that's why I'm an amateur and not a professional. Somebody who did this for a living would absolutely go through and probably level out these top frets, do a little fret fall off on the very back, and then go through and polish them up so they're nice and beautiful again. But for me, man, this guitar is everything that we had envisioned when we talk about doing this project. I mean, look at that thing. It is, I mean, I know a lot of you are going to say, woo, man, it's really over the top with all that gold, but that is the point. This guitar is a conversation piece. It's going to hang on Dad's wall, and people are going to walk in and say, whoa, what is that? And he's going to say, my son and I built that together. So there you go, Dad. There's our guitar project. I think it turned out fantastic. and it was a lot of fun working on this with you, even from a couple of 100 miles away. I hope you found this series of videos interesting, and I hope that you're finding ways to stay sane and stay safe. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video. In the meantime, I've been Reed, and this is Man Cave Guitar Pedal Mania.